you log on, you get dumped into Gold League, and you just can't quite seem to get out of it. And then you look at some guy who's undefeated and at the top of the Diamond League, and you just go, whoa, I gotta see what that guy's doing. I want to know how to be that good. And then, of course, you have more and more motivation for a pro scene, so I definitely think that StarCraft 2 has a bunch of exciting stuff in there. Not just for Korea, but for, like, the entire, like, West. Like, Europe and America in particular are going to have a lot of excitement, because sponsors are going to be more willing to back a game that was more recently released, I think.
Another thing is, what do you think? How do you feel about some of the players that have been coming from non-Brood War sources, like the War 3 players like Demuslim or Hesuab's, the little one from Supreme Commander, or I don't know his name, but there's a pro Command and Conquer 3 player who's moving into the
Apollo.
Apollo, yeah, that's right.
The Apollo, yeah. I feel great about it. It's awesome to get other, just points of view from other games. I mean, like, Lucifron and Demuslim just have superb finesse and control over a lot of their smaller units. And, I mean, it's just interesting to see the skill sets everyone's bringing. I do not like this view of, you didn't play the original Brood War, therefore you are not going to be good at a game that has StarCraft in the title. I mean, strategy games do require similar skill sets, and different strategy games will build different skill sets in unique ways. And why not get excited to see all those get dumped together? I mean, I don't really have any need to do a dick measuring contest to go, oh, no, you see I'm from Brood War, therefore I'm better, even though the game's not released yet, so that is my view on that. The more the merrier, as far as I'm concerned. In fact, all players Counter-Strike, MBC2, Street Fighter 4, they should come in and play StarCraft 2 as well, and everyone should just have one big esport.
Actually, I think the funniest story, I think the one that's going to have the hardest transition to this game is there's a team of professional World of Warcraft players who are coming over to try and play StarCraft 2.
Well, even then, there are, like just because you play WoW, and I mean, like, pro WoW, a lot of people kind of sneer at just because it's fun to hate on WoW. And it truly is really, really fun. I recommend it if you haven't done it. But, I mean, it is a game that requires a unique sense of timing. I mean, like, when you're in those, like, arena 3v3 battles, you kind of have to be aware of the timing of all the spells and cooldowns and when you can squeeze what in without having any mods there. And, again, that's another unique skill set. And I've actually played against some top WoW players who have really given me a lot of trouble. So, I mean...
Okay.
Again, it's just, are they good or bad at WoW? It doesn't matter. StarCraft 2 is the game we're playing, It's like, well, I'm good at basketball, so, eat it. It's like, well, who cares, man? Let's just play some video games.
It's all good. I know that there was a little bit more division at the beginning when people were kind of worried about, like, Hesuabs and them coming in, but I think they got accepted really quickly.
Once they started raping everybody.
Yeah, when they were like, I remember like Team Liquid forums just being like, oh, these guys, they're not gonna make any units, they're just gonna micro like 7 Marines, and they're gonna try to win the game, and it's just...
They're gonna wonder where their hero unit is, LOL! And it's like they win all the Zotac Cups and all the Craft Cups, and everyone's like, oh, sorry, I'm so sorry, Warcraft 3 players, as you were.
Okay, alright, I'm gonna put you with a hypothetical situation here.
I'm down, let's theorize it, baby.
You have $13 million, and
yes.
You have recently just come into a domineering group of slave developers under you. You have been labeled King of Blizzard, and you are put in charge with infinite time to get ready to put StarCraft 2 in its final form. What does Dictator Sean do?
Well, okay, so Dictator Sean. All right, first of all, I would have a steady stream of coffee and energy drinks nearby. I would spend probably $11 million on comic books because I'm poor and I've really been wanting to expand my collection. But after that's said and done, I guess I would want a little bit of. I guess I'd want a little bit of tweaking to the way that the unit movements feel. I also would probably up the food cap to 300. It's an idea I've been playing around with where I think that you get maxed really fast in this game. And I feel like all the interactions up to the point where you get maxed are still really interesting. But I mean, you get maxed on like 2 or 3 bases. And I think it would be cool to up the food max so that when you hit 200, that's like a big mid-game push style. And I think that it would allow for a lot more aggression. People wouldn't be so inclined to turtle, because if you can turtle and get a maxed army multiple times on a small number of bases, then I feel like defensive play is perhaps a little bit favored. And of course, you can't argue with the fact that because this game's only been out for like 3 months and it's not even in its final form, players haven't even begun to figure out ways to bust each other's defenses open, and we're seeing more and more of that. But still, I think 3-on-300 would be cool. I also think the units should be a little bit larger. Like the average size of a unit should be increased, because I feel like the effective terrain is not particularly significant. Take the big wide ramp on Steps of War. A 200 army can pass up and down that in like half a second. It is not hard to get a maxed army up those ramps because the movement algorithms are so smooth. But that means that you can't have small numbers of well-composed forces stationed at key pieces of terrain to block stuff off. I feel like there's less of that. And of course, one could simply say, we'll just design the maps better. But given the map set that we already have, just make the units bigger. Trying to think if there's other changes that I would make.
How about reverse all the stuff Mike Pearce was talking about? The big controversial Frank Pearce stuff. No chat channels, no LAN, none of that. Yeah. Go away.
And the thing is that, like, I want to be in defense of Blizzard on this one. I think that the problem with Frank Pearce's statement was not at all what he actually said. It's like how he went about saying it. Because to be honest, the people working on Battle.net 2.0, the people working on the business development, the people programming the game, the people designing the game, love StarCraft 2 and want it to be a sweet experience. It's not like they're going to make the game and be done with it. They are going to be working on it for a long time, and they are all going to be playing it for a long time. So, I mean, with that specifically in mind, I can't really see there being as bad a view of the game as Frank Pearce presented himself to be. And plus, of course, a lot, again, is lost in text. It was a text interview that I read. Because I feel like Blizzard should have said something like, you know, look, we want all these features in, but as a business, we cannot promise something and then not deliver because it'll hurt our stocks. So what does Blizzard have to do? Well, they have to die on the hill for us every single day reading these forums, because there's no way in a million years that Blizzard isn't reading Team Liquid. Of course they know what the community's opinion are. Blizzard, as a company, famously cares about their games. So, I mean, I actually feel really bad for Blizzard, because I get the sense that they want these features in there as much as we do. So, oh, and here's another thing. Blizzard has 3 installations of StarCraft 2 coming out. And, I mean, I have no idea what's going on in the business side of StarCraft, but I highly doubt they're just going to say to all the Battle.net developers, you're done, you're not working on this game anymore, we're just trying to rake in the dough here. That didn't make any sense at all to me. So in my eyes, Blizzard is, by breaking the game up into these 3 parts, Blizzard is basically saying we're actually going to take 4 or 5 years to adjust everything until we get it right. Because, I mean, even think about Warcraft 3, how in Reign of Chaos, it was a little flat. The spellcasters were a little bit too strong. I mean, you could pretty much, you know, go mass Ancient of War as Night Elf, and you know, if you had the right mix of spellcasters, you were great. And then Frozen Throne came along and completely changed the way that the game behaved, and completely changed the way that creeping behaved. And that is really awesome. So I have full faith in Blizzard's ability to take it to completion and turn it into a good game, because this really is their nest egg for the next few years. Contrary to popular belief, I don't think Blizzard is sitting there counting their money, saying, well, we made it with WoW, how can we siphon more money from these idiots? You know, it just does not make any sense to me. So
also think about StarCraft in 1998 as well.
Yeah, StarCraft in 1998 was awful. Mutalisks won the whole game. You should only make Mutalisks in StarCraft, literally. And this, even long before Mutalisk Micro became really, really well done, that game still was quickly dominated by Mutalisks. People sure would go for a lot of Zerglings and Ultralisks in the late game, but I mean, Mutalisks, cool, I won. I mean, what really could you do as any of the other races? Storm was pretty good, but Protosses didn't really know how to fast expand. I mean, you pretty much would just go like Muta, Hydra, and you won everything. So, I mean, game design-wise, certainly going to be more changes, and I'm positive that they will account for the idea that more units could be added in future iterations. But I'm more thinking of the BattleNet 2.0 side, because, you know, they've made a lot of changes to a lot of their games over time in terms of just, you know, functionality and interface, so I wouldn't be surprised if that good stuff happened.
Okay, now the last section we got here to talk a little bit about improving play, which is sort of your shtick as a show, getting people to be better.
Yeah.
So, I thought I'd run through some ideas. What would you do if, or how would you tell people to try to learn how to practice? I guess that's kind of a complicated question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I get asked this question a lot, and I think that the best way, the best advice I would have is to find a buddy who's approximately at your skill level, or a group of friends, and just play a lot with them. I remember when I was at Harvey Mudd, there was this